In this video, I will explain how garlic strengthens immunity, lowers blood pressure and cholesterol, prevents atherosclerosis, protects against oxidative stress and cell aging, reduces the risk of certain cancers, promotes healthy digestion and combats eating disorders, as well as its antimicrobial and antiviral properties and much more. I will also talk about contraindications and share tips on maximizing the benefits of garlic consumption and safe daily intake rates for children and adults. This video will be extremely informative and helpful. So, if you want to become a master of your health, click like and let's get started. Garlic, onions are something that have been with us forever. These foods have entered our lives, but we often don't know what's really in them, how they help or harm us. It is not known exactly where garlic came from, but its homeland is considered to be the territory of Central Asia, mountainous areas of Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, northern Iran. Its exact time and culture are unknown, but it is considered one of the oldest vegetable crops in the world. I would say it is such a vegetable crop and spice at the same time. Do you know how spices were treated in ancient times? They were very valued, especially the Eastern spices. The ancient Greeks valued garlic, so even Hippocrates used garlic and honey to treat lung diseases. And in ancient Rome, garlic became famous for its ability to fight parasites parasitizing the intestines. Yes, imagine that was in ancient Rome. That's why Roman legionaries wore it on their chests. They considered it a good antibacterial agent and often snacked on it with the murky water they sometimes had to drink from rather dubious sources. So in war, any war, garlic can always come in handy. For many years, garlic was considered an effective remedy for the plague, and it was not until the middle of the 19th century that the famous French scientist Louis Pasteur confirmed these assumptions by first writing about the antiseptic properties of garlic. So what did he do? He left a clove of garlic on the same plate with bacteria, and soon discovered that there were virtually no living germs around the garlic clove. Because of this property of garlic to fight bacteria, garlic or garlic solution was called the folk penicillin. And by the way, it is believed that garlic came to North America thanks to European colonizers and explorers. It was brought by the Spanish, Portuguese, and other European peoples during their expeditions and colonizations of the New World. Garlic was widely used to fight infections as early as World War I. But why aren't we using it for medicinal purposes now? Because we don't have folk healers and we don't have folk medicine anymore. And as soon as I make a video about how you can heal with food, that video gets a huge number of views. And as soon as I say that you need to see a doctor, the number of views immediately drops. Next, I will try to talk about all the foods in terms of, firstly, their availability, and secondly, their use as medicines. In addition to having important substances such as phosphorus, magnesium, selenium, manganese, iodine, garlic also boasts a high content of essential oils. You probably know about essential oils. It's impossible not to notice them in a passerby who eats garlic. All in all, it's hard to overemphasize the importance of all these substances for humans. To give you an idea of this, I will tell you, perhaps, about some of them. For example, the selenium in garlic helps in the fight against cardiovascular disease and activates the production of thyroid hormones, which is useful in hypothyroidism. Did you know this? Share in the comments if you suffer from hypothyroidism and knew about the benefits of garlic for this condition. Manganese is involved in a huge number of internal processes and is also necessary for the incorporation of calcium into bone tissue. That is, as you may have guessed, prevents osteoporosis, a dreaded disease that occurs mostly in women, especially often in postmenopausal women. In addition, vitamin B6, among other things, affects the central nervous system, namely, promotes the production of the hormone of happiness, the neurotransmitter serotonin. Also, garlic is high in tryptophan, which is actually used to produce this happiness hormone. There are many videos on my YouTube channel that explain how tryptophan is converted into serotonin and what conditions are necessary for this to happen. In short, happiness is in your hands. Watch and add to your knowledge. Garlic contains very important substances, phytoncides. These substances prevent garlic from being eaten by everyone. But I do not mean us humans, but various bacteria, fungi, and so on. These are bactericidal substances, and if they help to fight microorganisms and insects, then naturally, when you eat this garlic, these substances get on the mucous membrane of your mouth. Thanks to this, garlic has bactericidal, anti-helminthic, that is, anti-helminthic, simply put, against worms, in short, and fungicidal, that is, antifungal action. The anti-parasitic properties of garlic, to a greater or lesser extent, are confirmed by scientists in different countries of the world. That is, it is recognized by everyone. But still it should be understood that you cannot be treated only with garlic, otherwise you will think that this is a cure for all diseases. Garlic does not change the standard protocols of therapeutic measures, and without consulting a doctor to such treatment is better not even resort to. And an overabundance of phytoncides in the body can lead to serious poisoning. As for colds, it should be recognized that phytoncides, essential oils contained in garlic, have some antiviral and antibacterial effect. So the ancient Romans and Roman soldiers were right, because, as a recent study showed, in a group of people who regularly consumed garlic, they caught colds 3 times less often than those who did not. In addition, the duration of illness was almost twice shorter when consuming this vegetable. And it is worth noting that in this age of pandemic COVID-19, this property is no less useful. To date, garlic has already undergone, think of that number, 15,000 clinical trials that have proven that it prevents human mortality in 3 ways. The 3 major causes of human mortality today, and those are high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease, heart attacks, strokes, and of course, oncology. Oncology falls between the first and second item. So it turns out that garlic increases the activity of the fibrinolytic system. It's a complicated name, which prevents the formation of blood clots no worse than cardioaspirin, fibrinolytic, that is, dissolving fibrin. Consequently, garlic prevents the development of heart attacks and strokes, as well as pulmonary thrombosis, that is, clots do not form, blood vessels do not clog, everyone is healthy. Scientists from the University of Los Angeles recently managed to find out that garlic extract successfully destroys soft, recently formed cholesterol plaques in the arteries. Of course, old, already hardened plaques he cannot overcome. But it dissolves new, fresh plaques, and this is confirmed by studies in the United States. At the same time, the systematic use of garlic in food, in addition, helps to reduce cholesterol. It even allows some patients to do without taking statins daily. Write to me, whether you take statins or not, who prescribed them to you and would you like to do without them. It might make sense to start using garlic. How much garlic should I take, doctor? Will this garlic help me go without statins? Listen to the end of this video and I'll tell you all about it. Of course, you've probably heard that garlic contains an organic compound called allicin. The allicin in garlic is formed when you chop or damage it. When you cut, chop, or crush a clove of garlic, alliin, an amino acid found in intact garlic, reacts with the enzyme alliinase to convert to allicin. This process happens quickly and results in the formation of allicin, which gives garlic its characteristic smell and flavor and is responsible for many of its health benefits. It is thanks to it that garlic is able to reduce blood pressure by an average of 5 millimeters of mercury column. Surprisingly, but garlic even surpasses some drugs in this action. For example, garlic is not inferior to the drug atenolol. At the expense of what does this happen? At the expense of what in this garlic happens that suddenly the vessels relax and the pressure drops? It turns out that this allicin helps to relax the smooth muscle fibers that surround the blood vessel. When these muscles relax, blood vessels dilate. When they spasm, the blood vessels narrow. And if the vessel narrows, the pressure in the vessel, as you correctly answered, increases. So by relaxing the blood vessels, we lower the blood pressure. And that's exactly what garlic does. So it works just amazingly well. We shouldn't forget about magnesium, which, by the way, garlic has a lot of magnesium in it as well. And remember, we have a video about magnesium on this channel. How magnesium works. When you're stressed, your body releases magnesium into the bloodstream, and during stress, blood vessels constrict, including the heart vessels. And that's why people often have heart attacks on the background of stress. That is, the vessel was half closed by cholesterol plaque. And so against the background of stress, a person became nervous, the vessels narrowed, and the heart is not supplied with blood, a heart attack develops. So magnesium gets into the blood and relaxes these vessels. That is, it participates in relaxation. Like garlic, they work in one team. And this magnesium is needed to make sure that our blood vessels are always relaxed so that we go through stress easily. If we talk about the properties of garlic to affect the vessels, blood supply them, improve blood flow, then how can men at this point do not remember about the prostate? After all, on the condition of these vessels depends on the speed of blood flow to the sexual organs. I mean the pelvic organs. This is especially true for men with their eternally stagnant prostate, and by the way, the prevention of prostatitis is very well combined with cranberries, video about which was recently released on our channel, and you now know its bactericidal properties. So, cranberries and garlic are a cure for prostatitis. And of course, for something to rise and stand there, you need normal blood flow. And garlic provides this blood flow, and you don't need Viagra, pills. A little garlic, and everything will be fine. At the same time, garlic promotes the production of testosterone, which also increases male libido. For this purpose, men are recommended to use garlic tincture. However, today, the pharmaceutical market is very caring and offers several garlic-based preparations. But I believe that it is better to consume natural garlic, which we have used all our lives, than to take unnecessary pills. Besides, we have turned our lives into a continuous dependence on various pills. I don't know how many pills you take a day. We have to take pills for cholesterol, for blood pressure, for blood clots, for diabetes, for hypothyroidism, for uric acid, so we take pills for everything. The number of them is already frightening. You can no longer want something on your own. To want to sleep, you have to take a pill. To want to love, you have to take a pill. Eating, sleeping, toileting, love, arousal, and finally, the main pill, remembering to take the pill. I was referring to memory enhancement pills, you know. Garlic has long been known as a powerful healing agent. To this day, garlic is one of the main ingredients in folk medicine recipes in many countries around the world. For example, in India, this vegetable is used to treat asthma. The French use it to treat flu, and the Germans use it to treat tuberculosis. In Italy and Spain, folk healers recommend treating intestinal diseases with garlic, and Afghans consider it useful for lung diseases and some ailments, fatigue. All this is true, but still do not exaggerate the properties of garlic, and the main thing to remember that, despite the fact that this video is called What Diseases Cures Garlic, it is still a spice in itself, or food, and certainly not a miracle cure. Use it for treatment, of course, you can and should, but only in combination with other drugs, exclusively with the permission of your doctor. And here, for a minute, drum roll, how much of it should be eaten a day to get all these useful properties of garlic? Surprise, surprise, but just 2 cloves of garlic in the morning and 2 cloves of garlic in the evening. Well, in the evening you can even skip it so as not to scare your wife or husband before going to bed. And in principle, it is enough and in the morning, but only not on an empty stomach and after eating. Remember this, please. We are constantly told about the healing properties of garlic, and one can't help but get the impression that it is some kind of miracle cure, even for me. For example, in 2008, the South African Minister of Health recommended garlic as the main treatment for HIV. I guess they had no other remedies at that time because I can't explain it otherwise. But they have it there in South Africa, not us. Or do we have it too? Write in the comments, we will read. And when the swine flu epidemic broke out in China in 2009, rumors of garlic's ability to fight the disease caused speculative demand, and garlic prices soared. How many times do you think? 40 times. Think about it. You have to be extremely careful when offering garlic to children. For example, it is often offered as a prophylactic against flu, RV. But even if they are not allergic, a large amount of garlic can cause a child severe pain syndrome in the stomach, intestines, even in all those delicate intestines, delicate esophagus. Our grandmother's favorite garlic beads, worn by everyone who started kindergarten. And you remember these recommendations on the internet, in different magazines, to tie a few cloves of garlic around the neck of the child, or in a linen bag, or in a container. And I remember what it is called. Such a yellow container from a toy, from the Kinder Surprise. And that's where they put garlic, made holes, and all in kindergarten this container hung around the neck. At least we had time to eat the Kinder Surprise before that. And write whether you or your children had such a container from the Kinder Surprise on the neck. Now, a few words about cancer. Scientists have long ago discovered the anti-cancer properties of some of the components of garlic. To maximize these anti-cancer properties of garlic, you should chop garlic cloves into small pieces and leave them for about 10 minutes before cooking. Due to the disruption of cellular integrity, during this time, chemical reactions have time to occur in the garlic, resulting in the formation of a substance that can have a devastating effect on cancer cells. This very smell is due to the very substance allicin, which has already been mentioned. And it turns out that this substance actively helps, not cures, but helps in the treatment of lung cancer. But only, of course, provided that this is the primary tumor and not metastases. For example, prostate cancer very often gives metastasis to the lungs, and then it will already be a prostate cancer tumor, and not a tumor primary arising in the lungs. It is from the tumors primarily arising in the lungs. Garlic helps very well, and according to research by Chinese scientists, eating 1 head of garlic twice a week reduces the risk of cancer by 44%, even in people at risk. For example, in smokers, I'm talking now, of course, about lung cancer. For the processes of division, metastasis, cancer cells need constant nutrition. However, present in garlic, this allicin, it contributes to, well, how to say, starvation of tumor tissues. They get less nutrients. Thanks to this, the pathways of spread of the malignant process are blocked. That is, the cells do not grow, do not divide, do not metastasize. Being a strong antioxidant, allicin even partially kills cancerous tumor cells. That is why I, for example, in my practice of nutrition of cancer patients, especially lung cancer, I always recommend the use of garlic, and daily. Another substance, such as quercetin, contained in garlic along with sulfur compounds, according to scientists from the American Institute for Cancer Control, complements and enhances the effect of allicin, its action as an anti-cancer complex. Quercetin is able to delay, in some cases even suspend, the growth of malignant neoplasms in the large intestine, that is, colorectal cancer, esophageal tissue, as well as stomach and bladder. So here, in these varieties of cancer in humans, garlic will also be very beneficial. The sulfur compounds, and this is very interesting, the sulfur compounds in garlic are able to penetrate the contencephalic barrier and fight brain cancer, glioblastoma. So, we have the blood-brain barrier, which separates our blood from the brain, and not all substances are able to penetrate it. So the substances in garlic are able to penetrate it and affect a type of cancer like glioblastoma. In fact, today there are already known 13 types of malignant tumors that garlic successfully helps to fight. These are, for example, myeloid leukemia, leukemia or chronic lympholeukemia, pancreatic cancer, colon cancer, breast cancer, endometrial cancer, cervical cancer, liver cancer, stomach cancer, osteosarcoma, and lymphoma, as well as in some other forms of cancer. Regular consumption of garlic helps stimulate hematopoiesis, the very factor that is suppressed by chemotherapy. And of course, selenium, which is also found in garlic, actively prevents complications from chemotherapy. Selenium helps you tolerate chemotherapy more easily, protects your body from the side effects of such treatment, and prevents chromosomal DNA damage. At Loma Linda University in California, experiments were conducted with gamma irradiation of human white blood cells. Essentially, the cells were killed by a high dose of radiation. But that's kind of normal. The white blood cells grown in garlic extract, on the other hand, retained their viability. As a result, the doctors who conducted the experiment concluded that garlic is a good prophylaxis for people undergoing radiation therapy in the complex treatment of cancer. Even a cursory study of the effect of garlic on the human body gives an understanding of the important role it plays in the fight against cancer. However, official medicine is in no hurry to recommend garlic to patients with oncology. No oncologist will tell you, eat garlic, it is very useful for you. So, unfortunately, no oncologist has yet told any patient exactly how to eat for their form of cancer. Of course not. They just don't know about it. They're just doing their job. Who's doing chemotherapy? Who's operating? Food is something so secondary to them. The maximum they talk about is to drink as much water as possible, but that's with chemotherapy. And of course, to maintain nutrition so that a person does not lose weight, does not become exhausted, but at the same time to nourish the body. But we feed the cancerous tumor, and to feed it so that we get as many useful substances as possible, and the cancerous tumor united these substances, that is starving, we need to choose the right nutrition. And doctors in hospitals, in oncodispensaries, do not do this. According to statistics, millions of people around the world die of cancer every year. According to the World Health Organization, cancer, as I said, is the second leading cause of death in the world, second only to cardiovascular disease. Approximately 9,600,000 people died from cancer in 2018, which is about 1 in 6 deaths worldwide. That's about 17% of all deaths, and no one is telling them anything. And it has to be said that normal, proper use of garlic in this case would help significantly strengthen the body's immune defense in these patients and significantly reduce mortality from this disease. I am by no means urging you to give up medications now. Many medicines are simply necessary, really help, save, prolong life, especially for such patients. This is not even up for discussion. I just want to draw your attention to the fact that nature, our nature, it is already ready to offer us effective ways to fight the most terrible diseases. But, unlike chemotherapy, without side effects and at a price much lower than the cost of the drug in the network. And it's a shame that most cancer patients don't even realize it. Now, hopefully, you have no doubts left that garlic has many benefits for us and should be consumed daily. Write in the comments. And now, pay attention. Contraindications to the consumption of garlic. Do not forget about the other side of the coin. This vegetable has potent substances, the overabundance of which can lead to undesirable consequences and only aggravate the situation when consumed, especially when treating with garlic. It is necessary to be extremely careful and not to abuse it. It is important to remember that even if you have no direct contraindications to garlic consumption, excessive consumption of garlic can lead to unwanted side effects such as heartburn, stomach upset, or bad breath. It is always advisable to consult a doctor before starting any kind of treatment, including the use of garlic as a medicine. You should also limit your consumption of garlic on an empty stomach. But I already told you this, a week before your upcoming surgery, because it affects blood clotting. That is, it makes our blood liquid. Do you take blood clotting medications, aspirin, or something like that? That's why garlic is so effective. Even before surgery, you have to eliminate it from your diet because you might bleed. Garlic should not be consumed if you have pancreatitis, gallstone disease, after gallbladder removal, if you have liver disease, because it stimulates the digestive system a lot and can lead to cramps, heartburn. In epilepsy, it should not be consumed because it can provoke a convulsive seizure. Here, perhaps, and all the contraindications. So how much is safe, and from what age can garlic be given to children and adults? For children, garlic can be introduced into the diet from 6 to 7 years old, but in very small quantities and after consultation with a pediatrician. It is important to start with small doses, for example, with a quarter or half a clove of garlic added to food to assess the reaction of the child's body. If the child tolerates garlic well and has no allergic reactions, you can gradually increase the amount, but do not exceed 1 clove per day. For adults, moderate garlic consumption is considered safe and can be 1 to 2 cloves per day. However, this depends on individual tolerance and the presence of diseases in which garlic consumption may be limited. In the presence of chronic diseases or taking medications, consultation with a doctor is necessary before increasing the amount of garlic in the diet. It should be remembered that garlic has powerful biologically active substances, and its excessive use can lead to side effects such as irritation of the gastrointestinal tract, changes in blood clotting, and others. And lastly, about the very unpleasant odor that everyone is so afraid of. And so how am I supposed to eat garlic in the morning if I have to go to work? Or maybe it's better to eat it in the evening, like at 19 o'clock. And if I am going to get into the same bed with my husband or wife? How to be and what to do? To remove the unpleasant smell after eating garlic, you can use a few simple ways. Chewing fresh herbs, parsley, mint, basil, or green tea can help neutralize the smell due to their fresh flavors and chlorophyll content. Consumption of dairy products, a glass of milk, yogurt, or a slice of cheese after a meal can help reduce garlic odor. Lemon, chewing on a lemon slice or rinsing your mouth with diluted lemon juice can also help eliminate the odor. Coffee beans, chewing a few coffee beans can absorb the garlic odor. Apples, the natural enzymes in apples can help neutralize the garlic odor. Green tea, drinking a cup of green tea helps eliminate the odor due to its polyphenol content. Charcoal tablets, activated charcoal can absorb odors, including garlic odor, but you should consult your doctor before using them. Good oral hygiene, regular brushing, flossing, and mouthwash can help reduce garlic odor. The method you choose depends on your individual preferences and capabilities. It is important to remember that some methods may be more effective for different people. What do you think about this? Do you agree with these statements? If there are any questions, ask them in the comments. More information on this topic can be found at the links in the description below this video and on our channel.
Subscribe and hit the bell for all notifications. Please like and share this video with your friends. Thanks to our sponsors for their support. I eagerly await your comments and encourage you to watch these useful videos.